Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today. Last time my neighbor came over and we were having a coffee together. We were talking about some woodworking projects I had going. At one point he mentioned how he had this butcher block cutting board and he was really unhappy with it because it's just a few years old and it's already starting to crack and it's just not wearing very well. So today we're going to fix it for him, so stick around. So what we can see here is we got a major crack going up the middle here, and the wood has become very dry because it hasn't been treated, and it's very rough because of all the use that he got out of it. So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to fix this hole down the middle, give it a good sanding, and then treat it with our board butter, and hopefully that will bring it back to life. So let's go. The first thing we have to address is this major crack right down the center, because if we don't correct this now, this board is going to actually be two boards soon. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to use Type Bond 3. This is a special type of glue for woodworking. It's waterproof and safe for foods. So this is how we're going to do. We're going to apply some on the top. Now I know what you're thinking. If I apply some on the top, that means all the sides, all the inside is still empty, and just give it a bit of time and it's going to crack again, or the glue will separate. But I'm going to show you a trick using my shop vac. So let's start by applying some Type Bond 3. I'm going to apply it to a few other places that look like they may need it. So we'll give that a shot and see what happens. All right, so we got our Type Bond 3 on, and as you can see, it's just sitting on the top, pooling. But now we're going to use our shop vac to suck it down. So now that I got that heavy bead of glue on the top, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my shop vac and I'm going to place it underneath where the crack is and allow the vacuum to actually suck the glue into the actual crack. And if you look really closely, you can actually see it being drawn in, like right there, you could see it. And it'll happen a few more times. The idea is if I can get that Type Bond 3 glue to get drawn into that crack, I know that it's going to, one, bond the board back together, but it's also going to treat that wood on the inside. And if we can make sure that no water could get in between those two pieces of wood anymore, we know that this cutting board will no longer start separating. All right, so we've managed to, by using the vacuum, of course, use the suction to pull the glue back in down into the actual crack. You can't see it well here, but it's there. But now we have to actually clamp it together. Now, here's one of the things. We have to remember that we want to clamp the wood together, but we don't want to clamp it too much. We want that glue to remain in the center. If we tighten it too much, we will squeeze out all that glue that we finally got in there. So give it a twist, get it snug and tight, and just leave it that way. It'll be fine at that point. And we're going to have to let this dry now for a few hours. And so yeah, we'll be back soon. And we are back. It's the next day. It's 16 hours later, and the glue is completely dry. And what we're going to do next is take the clamp off and start sanding it down. We'll use the traditional grits, the 80, 120, 150, 180, 240, raise the grain in between several times, and apply our board conditioner to it, and go from there. Now, I got to tell you the honest truth. This is a round over, I think. Yes, it's a round over. It's kind of a different one, actually. It's not quite just totally round. But anyways, what we're going to do is I think I'm going to change the round over to a chamfer, which is a 45-degree angle. I think I'd like to see that more on this board than the actual round over. But yeah, so we're going to do that as well. So stick around. So here I'm starting off with the 80 grit, and I promise I won't make you watch me go through every grit. I'm just going to show you the 80, because in all honesty, I think I'd rather watch paint dry than watch someone sand wood. Also, remember your technique when you're sanding. Right to left, overlapping 50%, and then up and down, overlapping 50%. This way, it ensures the board stays nice and flat. So at this point I finished with the 80 grit and the board was nice and flat again. So I wanted to take this opportunity to start chamfering the actual board. And when I talk about chamfering, and what it really means is just a little bit that's cut on a 45-degree angle. When you run it along the sides, as you can see, you get this nice 45-degree angle in your wood. Hey everyone, so here we are in the last stage of our sanding. We are at 240, and of course we've done the 80, 120, 150, and 180. So just before we start the 240, I'm going to hit it with a wet rag so that this way, one, I wipe off all the sawdust that's on it, and as well to raise the grain for one last time. Now, I may raise the grain once again and then just hit it with like a little sander like this by hand, just very lightly, just to feel if there's anything that's popped up, if any of the wood fibers were curled over and now they popped up straight. So last steps right here, right now. So here we go. So in case I haven't mentioned it, when I talk about raising the grain, that's just a rag with water on it, and it causes the fibers to stand up. And here we go, the final 240 grit sandpaper. And one thing to know about the 240 grit is that it's not very aggressive, so it doesn't take off very much. But just take your time, go through it right to left, top to bottom, just like I've always said, and you should be fine. Now, as I said, I wanted to do one more sanding, and I popped the grain one last time, and I'm being very gentle with this sandpaper because I don't want any of the wood to curl back over again, so that this way, when my neighbor washes it for the first time, he's going to have a surprise. And there you have it, sanded, smooth to 240, and to be honest, this feels so soft. It's incredible. So now all that's left to do is put our board butter on and our board conditioner, and we will see this board come back to life. Let's get it done. So while applying this board conditioner, I did make a small mistake, and this mistake was that I should have actually started with the bottom and then did the top, because you'll see later that I had to put some wood down to ensure that the board conditioner didn't get all over my tabletop there. And if you decide to do a project like this on your own, I'm going to give you a little tip. Make sure you do all sides of the wood, because what's going to happen is if you do the top and not the bottom, the moisture will be absorbed by the bottom and not the top, and that will cause expansion and contraction in your wood incorrectly, and that's going to cause problems and probably cause your cutting board or whatever it is, your charcuterie board, to split. So it's been a couple of hours now and the board conditioner has been sitting on our butcher block here. So I'm going to go ahead and take these rags and rub it all down and see what the final result is. Here we go. So as you see, this time I got it right. I started with the bottom and then I did the top. But you're going to need maybe a rag or two, or maybe even three, depending on how much you've actually put on. It gets absorbed up into the wood, but a lot of it is left behind. So by this point, that rag is full of that wax, and I'm just trying to absorb now as much as I can, because in the top, I'm going to spend some extra time trying to buff it and get that shine in there. And it worked. That clean rag there really did the trick, and that board just came to life. It was absolutely beautiful. There you go, a fully restored cutting board and treated properly with some board conditioner. Now, it's very important you treat your boards every once in a while with some board conditioner, and this goes for charcuterie boards as well. And the reason why is that wood is very porous, and so if you put down some raw chicken on a board that's not treated, it will absorb the juices from the chicken. And if you turn around and start cutting vegetables on it and you're eating those vegetables raw, you could contaminate those vegetables and you could become very sick. So you need to, every once in a while, condition your boards. I hope you've liked this video, and I really would appreciate you liking and subscribing because I got a lot of videos coming out. Thanks for watching.